I never imagined that the worst thing I'd ever hear would come from my own child, spoken into a microphone in a silent courtroom. Dad hit Mom. He screamed at us. We're scared of him. She was 12, legs dangling above the carpet, eyes wide with rehearsed tears. I watched the judge's expression harden like wet cement turning solid. In that single moment, the custody battle I'd poured 2 years and every dollar into tilted and crashed. My ex-wife Lynn clutched our younger son Ethan, pretending to sob. Someone in the gallery murmured. The gavel struck, and the official lie became my legal reality. 5 years blur when you're paying child support you can't afford and staring at pictures of kids you can't see. I sold my motorcycle, then my workshop tools, then the house. A coworker let me rent his basement. Nights that weren't drowned in cheap coffee were chewed through by the question that never stopped echoing. Why did my daughter, Emily, lie? Lynn's smear campaign marched on. She posted filtered photos of single mom life while tagging #survivor. She told neighbors I was an abuser, told Ethan I'd forgotten his birthday, told Emily I'd ruin her future if she contacted me. Lawyers warned me parental alienation cases are molasses slow. I filed motions anyway. Each died in paperwork and Lynn's counterfeit bruises. Then, last October, a quiet knock rattled the basement door. I opened it to find a girl I recognized by bone structure alone. Emily, now 17, stood on the step hugging herself. Dyed black hair framed a face half mine, half haunted. Dad, can we talk? I moved aside, heartbeat stuttering between rage and hope. She smelled like bus exhaust and cinnamon gum. We sat at the thrift store table. She stared at her chipped nail polish, words free-falling. Mom lied. She made me lie. She said if I didn't, she'd make sure Ethan and I never saw each other again. She said you'd dump us like Grandpa dumped her. I kept my arms crossed. Why now? Emily's throat bobbed. She threatened to report my boyfriend to the cops over fake drugs if I kept asking about you. I realized everything she does is a threat. I'm tired. 1,000 rehearsed speeches vaporized. Instead, I asked, "Are you safe tonight?" She nodded, then shook her head. I don't know. I took an Uber. Mom thinks I'm at a study group. My therapist once told me that forgiveness is a gift you hand yourself. I stared at Emily. The human proof that cliché was garbage. I didn't forgive. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I felt something heavier. Obligation. She was still my kid. All right, I said. You can stay in the guest room. We'll figure tomorrow out. Reddit loves neat timelines, so here's the condensed version. Day 1, Emily and I talk until sunrise. She describes 5 years of psychological warfare disguised as parenting. Lynn inspected her diary, deleted texts from my number, forced her to block me on social media, and recorded mock interrogations so Emily could practice testifying. Ethan, now 14, was bribed with gaming consoles funded by my child support. Emily hands me a flash drive. Audio clips she secretly recorded when Lynn bragged to friends about breaking the bastard in court. Day 3. I consult Natalie, my old divorce attorney. She scrolls through files while sipping bitter tea. If these tapes are genuine, we have perjury, evidence of parental alienation, possible extortion, she says. But we need more. Day 7. Emily agrees to wear a wire. This is where someone online will accuse me of bad parenting. Spare me. My minor child was already a pawn. I just aimed her at the queen. Day 10. We test the microphone. Cheap. Fits inside a scrunchie. I teach Emily to ask open-ended questions. She is scarily good. Day 12. Operation Matryoshka Doll begins. Saturday afternoon, Emily walks into Lynn's kitchen. I watch live from my phone in a borrowed van, parked a block away. Ethan usually games upstairs. Noise-canceling headset clamped on. Perfect cover. "Mom," Emily says, placing her backpack on the granite counter. "Why did we say Dad hit you?" Video shows Lynn rinsing dishes, manicured nails red as stoplights. She doesn't flinch. She laughs. Because he would have, eventually. Men like him always do. Emily pushes. But he never did. I feel guilty. "What's done is done," Lynn replies. She dries a wine glass. "It got us full custody and keeps the checks coming. Your guilt pays the mortgage, sweetheart." My throat tightens. The line is so perfectly villainous that if it weren't recorded, I'd call it bad screenwriting. Lynn keeps talking. "You think I care that we bent the truth? Courts bend women over all the time. I balance the scales. Now grab the salad from the fridge." Emily says, "Maybe we should tell the truth." Lynn's smile dies. "You do, and you'll regret it. Remember Tyler? His scholarship application needs a good word from me. One call, and he's done." Emily's voice trembles. "That's blackmail." "It's parenting," Lynn snaps. At that moment, I hate her with a clarity that feels radioactive. I signal Emily via text. "Leave." She does. We have 14 minutes of crystal audio. Natalie moves fast. She brings in a forensic audio specialist who signs an affidavit confirming authenticity. We file a motion to modify custody, attach transcripts, request an emergency hearing, and forward evidence to the district attorney for perjury review. The DA smells easy headlines. Lynn is served 2 days later while hosting a wine-tasting live stream. Clip surfaces on TikTok. A deputy handing her papers while commenters spam crying, laughing emojis. Public curiosity is kerosene. We provide the match anonymously. Online opinion splits. Some call me a vindictive ex. Others call Lynn a monster. Neither label matters. The legal machine grinds on. Hearing day lands in early January. Courtrooms no longer scare me. They anesthetize. Emily sits beside me squeezing a stress ball. Across the aisle, Lynn's skin is ghost white beneath designer makeup. Her lawyer whispers. She jerks her head. Judge Ramirez, same one from 5 years ago, enters. I watch recognition dawn. He remembers the original case. Natalie presents audio. The courtroom speakers spit Lynn's arrogance into every ear. When the phrase, "Your guilt pays the mortgage," echoes, several people in the gallery gasp. Lynn's attorney objects, claims entrapment, but the judge overrules. The state's perjury investigation validates relevance. Emily testifies next. She admits lying at 12, explains manipulation, details threats. She doesn't cry. She speaks like she's reading a confession at a war crimes tribunal. Cross-examination tries to paint her as vindictive. Emily says one sentence that cracks the judge's stoicism. "All I want is the truth on record, even if nobody ever trusts me again." You could hear fluorescent lights buzzing after that. I testify briefly about financial strain and alienation. I keep emotion minimal. Let the evidence talk. Finally, Lynn takes the stand. Her strategy wobbles between denial and victimhood. She claims the recording is playful banter and that Emily misinterpreted adult sarcasm. The judge's eyes narrow the way a door does just before it slams. 2 hours later, he rules. Temporary full custody to me pending final evaluation. Lynn's visitation supervised. He recommends the DA proceed with perjury charges and orders a forensic audit of child support expenditures. The gavel falls again, and this time the crash feels like thunder under my feet. Internet explodes. Local news picks it up, framing it as a cautionary tale about weaponizing the courts. Lynn's wine-tasting channel loses sponsors. An HR email leaks showing she's suspended from her marketing job over integrity concerns. Emily and Ethan move into my rented duplex. First dinner is pizza on mismatched plates. Ethan is quiet, glancing at me like he's recalibrating mythology. I don't push. I just offer extra cheese. Privately, Emily asks if I'm happy. Happiness is overrated, I say. I'm satisfied. It's not entirely true. Satisfaction sits beside a jagged emptiness. But revenge was never going to be a cure-all. It was surgery. Now comes rehab. Lynn's trial for perjury is set for March. She pleads not guilty. Prosecutor offers a deal. Admit guilt, serve probation, pay restitution. She refuses. Pride is a disease that prefers terminal stages. Day before trial, Natalie forwards me discovery documents. Among them, bank statements revealing Lynn funneled child support all into a shell account, then bought Ethereum at its peak using my money. She lost 60%. Fraud investigators salivate. First trial day, Lynn arrives with a new attorney. Criminal specialist. Expensive. Courtroom smells like disinfectant and fear. Prosecution calls Emily. She recounts lessons on lying. Defense tries to impeach credibility. Prosecutor counters with Lynn's own voice. Second day, investigator testifies on financial fraud potential. Jury watches graphs. Even math-phobic members grasp theft. Third day, Lynn's attorney requests recess, then announces plea agreement. Lynn will plead guilty to perjury, accept 18 months in county jail, 5 years probation, restitution of $128,000, mandatory counseling, and relinquish parental rights if she violates terms. Judge accepts. Lynn's face as verdict read resembles a cracked porcelain doll. She mouths something at me. Maybe sorry. Maybe I'll kill you. Doesn't matter. Security cuffs her. Emily grips my hand so tightly my knuckles whiten. Revenge tastes metallic, like biting your tongue and enjoying the flavor. Ethan's adjustment is rockier. He hid failing grades behind forged signatures and Lynn's excuses. I enroll him in tutoring. He resents me. Night after night, he slouches at the kitchen table, pencil tapping Morse code of boredom. One evening he snaps, "This all your fault anyway." I brace for anger, but words come out steady. "You're allowed to hate me, but homework isn't punishment. It's a ladder." He mutters but continues writing. Progress is uneven but real. By April, he shows me a B+ in algebra. I pretend it's a normal reaction when I high-five him and nearly break his wrist. Emily finishes senior year early and gets accepted into a journalism program. She says she wants to investigate family court abuses. I help draft her scholarship essay. She writes, "Redemption isn't deleting old lies, it's publishing new truths." Sometimes I catch her crying alone. I don't interrupt. We share a house, not a hive mind. Many Reddit stories end with the villain destitute and the hero triumphant. Real life sends bills. Legal fees devour my savings. I sell the duplex and buy a fixer-upper outside town. We spend weekends ripping up stained carpet and discovering questionable wiring. Sweat is cheaper than therapy. One afternoon, the doorbell rings. A process server hands me an envelope. Notice of civil suit. Lynn, from jail, is suing me for defamation over leaked TikTok clips. Natalie laughs so hard she snorts. Truth is an absolute defense. She's grasping at straws. Still, we file a countersuit for malicious prosecution. Judge tosses her claim and orders her to pay my attorney's fees. Another small victory. By midsummer, prison system's record lists Lynn as disciplinary segregation for fighting. She loses phone privileges. Emily says she sometimes dreams of visiting, then wakes relieved she can't. We plant a vegetable garden. Watching tomatoes swell is oddly hopeful. You might wonder if I ever forgave Emily. The answer is complicated but short. No. Forgiveness implies wiping the slate. I simply acknowledged that at 12 she was weaponized by someone she trusted. Responsibility rests where power resided. But trust is different from forgiveness. Trust can be rebuilt. It starts with proof, not apology. Emily earns it daily, when she comes home before curfew, when she admits anxiety attacks instead of hiding, when she asks how to file taxes. Each act mortars a brick in a bridge neither of us expected to walk again. Ethan's trust is slower. We play pickup basketball. I let him win sometimes. He pretends not to notice. Yesterday he called me dad instead of bro. Progress measured in syllables. Restitution arrives in quarterly checks drawn on an account labeled with Lynn's inmate number. I sign them straight into two funds. Emily's college savings and Ethan's therapy budget. Watching money once intended to punish me, now bankroll their recovery, feels better than any luxury splurge. I keep the check stubs in a folder marked irony and never open it. Emily turns her senior capstone into a podcast called Echo Chamber about how courts can be weaponized. We line a closet with thrift blankets, and she records experts and survivors. Episode 2 features me, voice modulated, explaining how lies snowball when evidence is ignored. The series charts locally for a week, and a journalist asks to syndicate. Emily grins like she just scored the winning goal and says, "Truth has better legs than fear." Ethan finds his outlet at the animal shelter, walking nervous rescues after school. One pit mix, Orbit, follows him like a shadow. The manager says Ethan's calm voice slows the dog's frantic heartbeat. He later tells me, "Anger is a leash. If I hold it tight, we both choke." 14-year-old wisdom can floor you. My own fury reroutes into advocacy. Natalie drafts me onto a nonprofit pushing for shared parenting reforms. I testify before a committee, answer snide questions, and watch one senator jot my quote. The absence of bruises is not proof of violence, it's proof of nothing. Bills move slowly, but at least they're moving. We renovate the fixer-upper together. Weekends become demolition therapy. Emily rolls paint. Ethan swings a pry bar. I rewire outlets. Progress is measurable and mute. Dry-fit joints don't gaslight. During drywall sanding, Ethan asks, "Do you think Mom will ever apologize?" I reply, "Waiting for that is like expecting mail from a burned-down post office." He exhales as if relieved of a chore he hated anyway. 6 months post-trial, the forensic audit lands. Turns out Lynn dodged taxes and lost child support money on crypto. The IRS files charges, guaranteeing her parole board will greet her with a calculator. Revenge, it seems, collects interest quarterly. A road trip marks our unofficial reset. We drive to the coast in a junkyard SUV, spend 3 days tide pool hopping and laughing at how bad we are at skipping stones. On the last night, we eat soggy fries on a motel balcony and decide that nobody needs to keep score anymore. Lynn sends one prison letter, full of blame and demands for visits. The kids shred it without comment. Sometimes revenge is a courtroom. Sometimes it's a recycling bin. Last week, Emily asked if she could call me Papa again. The single syllable felt like a cathedral bell ringing after years of silence. That sound, not the verdicts or checks, was the moment I knew the balance had finally tipped. Life still throws small tests. A neighbor at the new house corners Ethan and says he heard rumors about me. Ethan later admits he wanted to punch him. Instead, he replied, "Google the court documents," and walked away. That night, I take him for late-night pancakes. We talk about choosing battles, how silence can be louder than fists. He drains 2 refills of syrup and decides the neighbor isn't worth detention. Emily's podcast attracts unwanted attention, too. An anonymous email accuses her of hurting real survivors. She drafts a flaming response, then deletes it. We discuss how some people guard their pain by denying anyone else's. She schedules an interview with a domestic violence advocate to explore that tension. It airs, balanced and blunt, and the hate mail dries up. My job, previously stagnant, notices my advocacy work. HR invites me to lead a workshop on bias in conflict resolution. I'm no motivational speaker, but I tell the room what the courtroom taught me. Facts are seatbelts, boring until you crash. The applause feels earned, not polite. A promotion follows, enough to replace the second-hand SUV before winter. Orbit becomes a permanent family member after chewing through the adoption paperwork, in a literal sense. The shelter laughs and waives the fee. The dog sleeps beside Ethan, snoring like a tiny chainsaw. Sometimes I wake at 3 a.m., hear the rumble, and smile in the darkness. One evening I catch myself humming while doing dishes. The tune is nothing special, just background noise of a life no longer burning. 5 years ago, I'd have paid anything for such an ordinary sound. Now it arrives free, like oxygen. I still don't forgive Lynn. Forgiveness is not a civic duty, but indifference. That's priceless rent in the mind she can't collect. Revenge paid the debt. Indifference closed the account. And that, Reddit, is how I traded vengeance for equilibrium and discovered relief tastes best served daily, slowly.